How aware were you of like the franchise and the series that came before, and how did it help you in forming this character?
Um, I was aware of the franchise. I was a fan of the franchise, not as early on as my parents were. Um, but later on, it was around season 4, 5 that I really got into it. Then I went back and watched it like myself. Um, this is right at the end of season 5, and that's also around the same time I got the audition for for Powerbook 3. And I had started watching, again on my own before I even, actually realized that I was going to be auditioning for the show. It was just out of a, I like the show, I want to see what's going on thing, and that's kind of where that happened.
So, hi.
What up? What up?
How
What
was
up?
it finding you? You
I'm
okay?
chilling, man. I'm chilling.
First, congratulations for your work. But
Thank you so
how
much.
was you to play a character already known by the interpretation of 50 Cent?
Man, honestly, there was at first I definitely felt, I guess, a little bit of pressure, possibly more so for myself. But that's, because it's such a beloved character. This is such a prominent figure in this franchise. Um, I just wanted to make sure that I was giving an accurate representation to the fans of the show. I wanted to make sure I was giving them an accurate representation of what they knew and loved as this character, while also, keeping in mind that this is essentially a brand new version of him. We meet him at 15. So I want to give him room to also grow into what we know and love as the ruthless Kanan in the original Power. So yeah, that was what my initial process for it was. I definitely think there was a little bit of nerves. There was also the excitement. One, as a fan of the franchise. Two, I get to do what I love, and then three, doing what I love on a franchise that I love is like it was cool. So all of that coming together, there definitely was the nerves, and it was the excitement and acceptance, and then it was all right. Let's get to work.
Okay, Albert, you're up next.
Okay. Hi, Mekai. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Alberto?
Well, I'm fine. My first question is from Disney movies and voice actor to Power. How have you lived this big change of record?
I'm sorry?
How have you lived this big change of record?
Who have I left this big change of records? I'm sorry.
The teenager actor to adult actor.
I got you. How was that transition? Is that what you're asking? Something like that? Yeah. I mean, it's been a journey. It's been fun. It's been gratifying. I guess especially because this is the next step of my career. I'm excited for people to come on this journey with me, and see a new side of talent that I have, or I guess something that I get to actually showcase. Another side of it. That's been the biggest thing. It's the most exciting about it is just having people go on this journey with me. Again, you're right. Like you said, it's from Disney to Power. It's an extreme jump. That not many get to make, that I'm extremely fortunate I've gotten to make. And we're gonna ride out with it. Hopefully everybody rocks with it, and I'm gonna be around for a while. So they're gonna have to get used to this face, whether they want to or not, in this light, whether they want to or not, whatever.
Thank you.
So we know where Kanan ends up as an adult. How would you describe young Kanan? Like, who is he as a character?
Who is Kanan as a character when we catch up with him in book 3? Well, I mean, he's 15 years old. He's young. He's a baby. He hasn't experienced anything. He's essentially the complete opposite of what we know in the original Power. I will say though, because you don't just turn into that sort of psychopath. There definitely is the he has the raw, you know, I guess you could call it ability or the raw instinct for it. Um, but again, because he's young, he hasn't experienced anything or learned much about what's happening. He has to go through some stuff that'll shape and mold that and really help him utilize those tools he has. But yeah, and I think that's again, just going back to the name of the show being Raising Kanan, I think you'll get to see that whole transition. That's the whole point of why I think they named it that way, is because you get to see who and what and how it affected him throughout this entire journey. And that's the one thing I'm really excited for people to see, is just to be able to go on this journey with Kanan and with me as an actor, as a performer, as a person. I'm excited for people to just watch and grow with us.
So you said before that you will play another Kanan. It's the Kanan that we know, but it's another one. It's younger.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think you could add to Kanan that wasn't in Kanan before, in the character before, but just Mekai could add
Absolutely.
to Kanan?
Well, I mean, I think one of the things, off rip that I've been told they were also looking for when they started this was kind of just, they needed, a vulnerability, like a kind of just an emotional, I guess a basin you'd be able to pull from. And that's something that, Kanan necessarily doesn't have when we met him, I guess. But again, that's just part of the story. You have to have had emotions to have lost them. And, that's definitely where we're at with this. Not saying he's an emotional being or person, but he's empathetic, he's sympathetic, he has feelings. It's just the circumstances he's found himself in throughout time have, kind of desensitized him to a lot. It's trauma. It's trauma. You start to bury and hide that stuff because you're not necessarily the greatest to remember that, or you don't want to. And that's, I think, what we see with Kanan. You see it's a normal human adjustment, I feel like, but because of the situations and the environment he's in, because of how extreme, you get an extreme result in the shut off of emotion and stuff like that.
Perfect. Thanks. Alberto, you're up next.
Okay, my second question is, how is to enter in the Kanan's world?
How is it to enter into Kanan's world? Man, I mean, there's so many different angles you could look at that from. Like, you could look at it from Kanan's world as it being the 90s, which one is so dope to me because even though I wasn't born in the 90s, that's like, it's the golden era for me. It's I listen to a lot of 90s music. I watch a lot of 90s movies. And, a lot of 90s fashion is back around and, influencing a lot. So there's that side of, stepping into Kanan's world, which is just super dope because it really feels like a time machine. I really feel like I'm in 91 whenever I step on set. Then there's the side of stepping into Kanan's world emotionally, as actually playing this character, the places and the things you kind of have to feel and realize to really, bring these points across, is an experience in itself, having to, go to so many different emotional places to pull so many, I mean, just a lot of the stuff that happens in the show is so wild. It's wild, whether you have a memory to pull from or you're there organically in that moment. It's a lot to take in at times. It's wild. But it's fun. It's I can't describe the feeling. It's the wildest things, having like really getting to step into this world every day and really become this person and, really feel these feelings and just really relate to everything that's happening. It's a different feeling, man. It's undescribable.
How would you describe his relationship to his mother and what's it been like off camera, that relationship between you?
Kanan's relationship with his mother is very complicated. And I feel like we'll get to unpack that a lot throughout this first season. But I only say it's complicated because Kanan's mother is his world. His mother is his world. And there's this constant feuding between them because they love each other so much and so deeply and are willing to do whatever for each other, that they find themselves in these extreme situations where they have the same common goal, and nothing is done in malice, as 50 Cent says. But it's, they just have different approaches, and one approach may not work for this scenario. And every person in the family, Rock, Uncle Marvin, Uncle Lou, Jukebox, Kanan, they all, even though are working together for this one bigger picture, all have, their own experiences and own ways of getting to this goal, which I think plays a really big part in kind of just the conflict throughout the show. Is, they all have this goal, but they can't decide on how to do it, essentially. And, there's another side of it where Kanan wants to really just be there for his mother and for his family. He wants to protect them. He wants to love them. And, Rock wants that as well, but she wants it, again, in a different way for him. And that just causes a lot of, just back and forth between them often.
So, yesterday we were talking with to Patina, and she described the spin-off as a family drama. Mm-hmm. How would you describe the Powerbook 3?
I mean, yeah, it is a family drama, inside of it being inside the Power universe and about, the violence and the drugs and all of that. There's, again, this story of, a mother's love for her son, a son's love for her mother. A son's love for his mother, excuse me. Sacrifice, what families are willing to do for each other to make sure that each other are good. It's a story of like choices, story of environment and influence and how that all will affect, your everyday life. Yeah, that's really it. It's just, it is a family drama, and there's a lot to, unpack inside of that. But at the root, yes, it is a family drama.
Okay, great.
Coming of age family drama. I'll say that. It's a coming of age family drama. Because I think that adds a slightly a different layer to it. Because, again, you get to go on this journey with them. You're going to grow and watch this all unfold through, however long.
Okay, great. We have about 7 minutes left, just as an update. So, Alberto, you're next, please.
Okay.
Recording in progress.
My third question is Raising Kanan is set on 1991. Mm-hmm. And how would you define Kanan in songs?
Kanan in songs. Ooh, sheesh! I didn't even think about that. That's a hard one. Matter of fact, I have a playlist somewhere of songs that I like. Now, I have a playlist of songs that I would listen to to kind of like get in that, mind frame at times. I called it Chaos, spelled with a K. Apache was one of my favorite artists to listen to during this time. He got a song called, there's one song called Get Your Weight Up, and there's another one called Gangsta Bitch. They're on the same album. But two of those I feel like were like, they're kind of, they're partially anthems for him in a way. They could be. I don't even know if this actually came out in 91. I know it was the 90s. It was early 90s. So I can kind of get away with it at times. What's another song? Let me see.
Run
DMC, you gotta have Tribe Called Quest. Of course, Run DMC. You gotta have those. Who else? Who else do I got on here? Jungle Brothers, Busta Rhymes, Naughty by Nature. How did I forget Naughty by Nature? Come on.
Snap.
Who else?
Snap. The Power.
Nah. What's up?
How I don't know what's happening.
I know, right?
How has this been for you professionally to get to flex these muscles? Because I assume, like we discussed, the transition and the leap is quite dramatic. But you must be. Are you loving it?
I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. It's something I've been waiting to do for a while, and now that we're actually getting the chance to, I'm not giving it back. This is, I'm doing what I love. I'm doing what I've always wanted to do. It's a blessing to be on such a platform. And, again, that's why I always will forever love Sasha and Courtney and 50 for even trusting in me to take on such a, position and be in such a spot and have such a platform and, be trusted to take this baton and, carry on this dream that they all have. Yeah, man, it's been a blessing. It's been something, I've been manifesting and wanting for a long time. It's, I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be, type thing. Yeah, that's it. That's it. I'm just grateful. I'm grateful. I'm excited. I'm humbled. Still a little nervous, but I think we're on the opposite end of that. I'm ready. We're here. It's time.
So, what message you think this spin-off, the Powerbook 3 Raising Kanan, could bring to the fans of the people that are it's already fan of the series of Power Universe at all?
What lessons do I think it'll bring for fans of the universe already? Honestly, ultimately, I want Raising Kanan to serve, like, especially for the Power universe, the people that already are into the show. I want it to serve as, those unanswered questions, the precursor type thing. I mean, at least I know for me, in the original Power, when Kanan had the opportunity to shoot Tariq and did it, it almost left me a little confused because it's like, well, I mean, you've done all of this throughout all this time. You have the golden opportunity right here, and you didn't take it. What is that about? So, it makes you just want to unpack that even further. And that's kind of just been the whole, that's I think what the goal has been. Yeah. And and for people outside of the Power franchise, I'm just excited for them to see this story. And, even outside of it being a new story, another coming of age, a family drama, it could also serve as a precursor for them to get into the Power universe. Because, even with it being the chronological, technical first install, it also will offer you, it'll show you just basically how the other ones are essentially structured, in terms of, the family roles and what each person does and stuff like that. So I'm excited for people to see that as well.
Okay, great. So this will be our last question. So Alberto, please bring it home.
Okay. My last question is, Raising Kanan. It's a TV show, and dark, dramatic, and different. So what has been the hardest thing to shoot in Raising Kanan for you?
What's been the hardest thing to shoot? I don't know. That's a loaded question, because there's been a couple, there's so many like real dark, I guess, moments that happen on the show. There's so many, different places that you have to go to that are kind of hard to come out of at times. I know definitely towards, like halfway through the season, maybe like 6, 7, 8, those episodes were definitely a little harder to get through, simply because of, just what was happening and, where you had to go mentally to evoke these emotions and pull from and stuff like that. But it's like, I don't think there's anything that's been like, like a challenge. Because again, everybody on set makes it just so easy, and you know, they're extremely understanding of days, you know, that might be a little slower, you know, it takes you a little more time to get into your gear type thing. So I don't think I've had any of those sort of days, but there have definitely been days where it was just tough to get through a scene simply based on emotional mind state.
Thank you, Mekai.
Thank you guys. Of course, this was fun. I enjoyed this.